Chapter 17. Curses and Coincidences. The world we live in may seem to be a rag bag of odd, fortuitously assembled bits and pieces, but magicians believe that it is really a whole, like a design or a machine, and that all its parts are necessarily connected together in a certain way. Human beings are wholes of this kind. Just as all the facets of a man's character and behavior are aspects of a single personality, so all the phenomena of the universe are aspects of some one thing which underlies and connects them. This one thing is a being, a force, a substance, a principle, or something which it is not possible to describe in words at all. Anton LaVey embodies an uncompromising sense of justice. Speculation concerning his powers to curse people weaves relentlessly around him. When asked directly about the rumors, Anton rather cryptically maintains that all magic involves a necessary balance factor. The universe insists on that balance, states LaVey, and will enforce or exact the necessary price. Perhaps I'm a catalyst for that process. Below is a sampling of coincidences gleaned in conversation with LaVey, the few incidents he's willing to talk about. The Satan-hunting media, looking everywhere for grand conspiracies, tend to overlook these more obvious connections that prove more potent than all the fabrications of talk show hosts and the mist of rating sweeps. 1947. While in the employ of the Clyde Beatty Circus, LaVey wants to polish his keyboard skills by practicing on the show's calliope. He asks the veteran calliope player, a drunken lush, if he can use the instrument for a half hour, and the man refuses. Anton curses the drunken sot for his stubbornness. Within days, LaVey replaces him as the circus's calliope player. 1948. When LaVey is 16, he gets into a tussle with a friend over the virtue of a girl Anton is dating at the time. The boy pulls a knife on LaVey, leaving him with a livid scar that remains on his right cheek for many years. 2 years later, the boy is hauled down to the police station on an unrelated charge. While in a holding cell, he hooks his belt around an overhead pipe, wraps the other end around his neck, and hangs himself. 1960. Diane snuggles close to Anton while he drives. A truculent motorcycle cop stops beside them at a traffic light, glares into their car, and motions to Diane to get to her side of the seat. "Keep both hands on the wheel," he warned, roaring off. Without thinking, Anton raises his hand in the hex sign toward the policeman. When Anton and Diane catch up to the officer, he is sprawled across the pavement, victim of a gruesome collision. Also 1960, the San Francisco Fox Theater is generally conceded to be the grandest movie palace ever built, constructed to stand 2,000 years. Eventually, it was decided the space could be more lucratively exploited as an office high-rise. LaVey is one of the entertainers present for a final evening of tribute, before the theater closes its doors forever. Fingering the last organ chords that echo through the theater, Anton curses the plot of land, vowing that any building on the site will have nothing but bad luck. The office building now occupying the site, the Fox Plaza, experiences problem after problems, and is said to be cursed. 1966. Angered by plans to tear down the fabled San Francisco Sutro Baths to make the valuable oceanfront land available to developers, LaVey curses the area, stipulating that until there is a small corner of any proposed plans devoted to the devil, nothing would ever be built on that ground. 36 hours after cursing the property, the buildings burst into flames just as the wrecking ball swings. 1967. LaVey's much-publicized curse on Jane Mansfield's overprotective attorney, Sam Brody, claims not only Brody's life, but Jane's as well, despite LaVey's warnings to her. 1968. Tagar, LaVey's beloved Nubian lion, who had been forced out of the LaVey household and into the San Francisco Zoo, becomes the recipient of the zoo director's intense disfavor and is shipped out to Lion Country Safari in Southern California as breeding stock. Tagar is spirited away in the middle of the night without allowing LaVey to say goodbye to his friend. Anton focuses his frustration and anger onto an exquisite Egyptian baboon made of crystal in a friend's ritual chamber. Soon afterwards, the papers tell of a strange tragedy involving the zoo director who had gone into the ape's cage late one afternoon. No one explained what he was doing there or why the normally docile apes rushed at him, but their attack was swift and murderous. The apes ripped and clawed and pounced. By the time help arrives, summoned by the apes' demonic screams of blood fury, the zoo director slips into unconsciousness. 1969. On August 8th, LaVey conducts a hippie ritual at the Church of Satan, in which he bitterly curses the psychedelic vermin infesting the world. He calls for a purge to relegate the slaves to the pens in which they belong, catalyzing a new era of satanic awareness. The next day, the participants of the hippie ritual read about the horrors discovered in the Benedict Canyon home of Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. Also 1969. LaVey agrees to appear on Lou Gordon's Hot Seat television show in Detroit, even though it is Halloween night and Anton has other commitments. The producer promises to get Anton and Diane to the airport in time to catch their plane. The show starts late, drags on, and with their flight time growing closer and closer, Gordon ridicules LaVey's odd beliefs. Finally, Diane storms on screen, says, "Come on, we've got a plane to catch," and rushes LaVey off the set. A friend rushes through a merciless storm to get the LaVeys to the airport in time. Airline personnel are just about to pull away the boarding ramp as LaVeys run to the plane and jump on. As the plane takes off, LaVey vents his considerable anger. The city blacks out beneath them as they lift clear of the runway. A few days later, upon returning to San Francisco, LaVey writes a formal curse on the blood-red Church of Satan stationery and sends it to Mr. Gordon, who reads it on his next broadcast, laughing and scoffing. Gordon dies within the year. 1970. LaVey consents to appear on reactionary Joe Pine's Hot Seat radio show, during which LaVey is treated to Pine's unusually caustic tongue. Pine dies within a few months of having LaVey on his show. 1972. The city fathers decide it is time to destroy another San Francisco landmark, Playland at the Beach, an amusement park stretching along 8 blocks of prime oceanfront property. It is here where LaVey met his first wife, Carol, and lived for some time on the adjacent cliff. When LaVey learns the fate of his beloved amusement park, he vows that no one will be able to make a success of anything else built on the land. As of this writing, the high-rent condominium complex constructed on the site remains largely vacant, and the area is rapidly becoming too crime-ridden to warrant further development. In 1984, on the afternoon of July 18th, LaVey is summoned into court to be formally criminalized for the first time in his life. A restraining order is invoked against LaVey by Diane, the woman he had lived with for 24 years. Anton sent a letter to Carla in Amsterdam before the hearing, saying he wasn't going to stand for it, that he had performed his magic, and that he was going to ride on the hot Santana winds, and that all hell will break loose. LaVey cautioned Carla to keep the letter in a safe place. On the appointed afternoon, at the exact hour LaVey would have been standing in front of the judge, he didn't attend to contest the action. James Huberty walks into a McDonald's in San Isidro, California, on a day cursed by blistering Santana winds. Armed with a machine gun, a revolver, several rounds of ammunition, and a ghetto blaster, Huberty sprays the fast food restaurant with bullets, shooting anything that moves. He had earlier kissed his wife goodbye and told her he was going off to hunt humans. It is the worst massacre of its kind in history. Diane's father's name is James Hegarty.